Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this course on COBIT, and this is brought to you by Trust Access Consulting Group. And we were discussing about the governance and management objectives. In our previous session, we discussed in extensive detail about the governance objective concerning around EDM01, that was around understanding and around the topics associated with how to set up a governance framework within an enterprise. Uh, in today's session, we will discuss about the governance objective EDM02, which is around ensured benefits delivery. Okay, so let's get started. So, the core purpose of this particular objective, which is around EDM02, ensured benefits delivery, is to kind of make sure that the enterprise realizes the benefits that are promised from the IT related investments. Okay, so this is all about the realization of benefits. Okay, and um, basically, whatever investments that are done in the IT and the transformation initiatives which were proposed must basically accrue the promised benefits. This is the full objective behind this particular governance objective. So, in simple terms, it ensures that whatever we plan, fund, and execute basically delivers the intended value to the business and is not just on the paper but in measurable results. Okay, so like every governance objective that we will discuss, we'll start with understanding what are the enterprise goals this particular governance objective strives to achieve. How do we measure it, and what are the corresponding goals that the IT department should have in order to achieve the outcomes of the enterprise goals. Okay, so let's get started. So, the first enterprise goal this particular governance objective is striving to meet is around optimization of internal business process functionality. This basically means that um, how efficiently and effectively is the business operating through better IT enabled processes. Like, say, for an example, you have the finance team, right? And in the finance team, there could be multiple tasks. Like, say, for an example, maintaining the accounts. When I say accounts, accounts payable, accounts receivable, or managing the purchase orders within the enterprise, or creating the financial reports, or maintaining the general ledgers, etc. Right? Now, these are business processes, right? Now, these business processes depend on something called as an enterprise resource planning uh, application that is enabled through IT, right? Basically, uh, how your business processes are operating because you have invested in an IT enabled process, and how effectively and efficiently it is operating is the goal that this particular governance objective is trying to achieve. Okay, and the second goal that this is trying to achieve is around managed digital transformation programs. So, what it basically does is it ensures that all the digital initiatives that are operating within an enterprise, like, say, for an example, the use cases relative to automation, or say, cloud migration, or modernization of your digital ecosystem within the enterprises, they are all well managed and they deliver tangible benefits. These are the two major goals that this particular governance objective is trying to achieve. Now, in order to measure the success against these enterprise goals, there are various metrics that we can track, right? Say, for an example, the first thing that we could possibly track is the satisfaction levels of the board as well as your executive leadership with how the business processes like this are operating and performing on the ground with IT enabled solutions, of course. And the other thing that we can also measure is the satisfaction levels of the customers based on the time to market of the service delivery or the quality of the products that they are receiving from the enterprise. We can also measure the satisfaction level of the suppliers or partners within our supply chain capabilities. Now, these metrics will together demonstrate whether the organization's IT initiatives are actually improving operational and strategic outcomes for a given enterprise. Okay. Now, the other goal, that is around managed digital transformation programs, can also be measured using some sort of metrics. Like, say, for an example, how many programs are completed within the defined budget and within the agreed upon timeline, right? And what are the percentage of the stakeholders who are satisfied with the delivery of the program, the IT enabled program, like, say, for an example, cloud migration program or automation of business processes program, etc. And the number or kind of the percentage of business transformation programs that had to be stopped after they have been actually started is actually a red flag. So this metric is also something, as an enterprise, one must collect in order to basically validate whether you are actually on the path to achieve the goals laid out in the enterprise goals relative to managed digital um, transformation programs, right? So basically, in association with this, like always, all enterprise goals basically translate into what you call the IT alignment goals, and these IT alignment goals map to the governance or management objective, right? So this particular governance or management objective will strive to achieve certain IT alignment goals, and this will in turn help in achieving the enterprise goals. So, what are the IT aligned goals that must be curated in order to meet these two enterprise goals via this particular governance objective, right? So, say it basically targets one specific IT alignment goal, which concerns around realized benefits from IT enabled investments and the eventual portfolio of services that are to be delivered. Now, this particular goal, it will ensure that the investments that are made in IT are not just expenditures but are actively contributing to the value of the business. Okay. So, likewise, here also you can use a couple of metrics that could evaluate whether you are on the process to achieve the outcomes of this particular alignment goal. So, the first metric that you can possibly target is the percentage of IT enabled investments where the claimed benefits, right, as they are defined inside of your business case, are actually met or in some cases even exceeded. Okay. So the second metric actually focuses on the percentage of IT services for which expected benefits, as stated in your service level agreements with your partners, are actually realized. So essentially, this is where benefit realization meets what you call as accountability, right? It's about ensuring that every IT initiative has clear business value metrics defined, and those metrics are tracked, reported, and validated after they are implemented. So, this particular governance objective, EDM02, is not only about delivering the benefits but also about governing the realization of those benefits. So, in a very transparent, measurable, and business aligned manner, right? So, this particular governance objective will help the leadership or the board, in this case, as well as the executive leadership and the IT management to continuously monitor whether technology is genuinely delivering the business outcomes it was intended to deliver, right? So these are the goals from an enterprise goals and the IT aligned goals that this particular governance objective strives to achieve. Now, having discussed that, let's move on to the different practices and applicable activities that we have under this particular governance objective. And now, as introduced earlier, this objective focuses on ensuring that the organization actually realizes the value from the investments that are being done in the IT business unit, and whether those investments are in new systems, digital transformation programs, or any of the ongoing IT services that are operating within the enterprise. So, in other words, while the previous governance objective that we discussed in the other session around EDM01, which strives to ensure that the right governance structures are in place, this particular one ensures that the right outcomes are in place. Like for every dollar invested in IT, it must deliver a measurable business value. Okay. So let's kind of understand the overview of this particular business. I mean, this particular governance objective, and what are the practices and what are the activities that are enclosed within it. Okay. So the overall objective that this particular governance objective strives to achieve is optimize the value to the business from the investments that are done in business processes, your IT services, and even your IT assets. Okay, so it basically strives to secure optimal value that is delivered from your IT enabled initiatives, as well as your services and assets in a very cost efficient manner through reliable delivery and a transparent understanding of the cost and benefits, right? So this kind of ensures that the business needs are met through IT enabled solution in an effective manner and an efficient manner. Okay. Now, this particular objective is basically composed of four different practices. First one is establishing the target investment mix. Second one is about evaluating the optimization of the value. Third one is direct the optimization of the value. And fourth one is monitoring the value optimization. Right. So let's kind of go into the depths of each practice in detail, including some of the specific activities that must be executed in order to achieve the outcomes of those practices, right? So the first one is concerning around establishing the target investment mix. Now, this particular practice is about defining where and where and how much to invest in the IT ecosystem to ensure there is an optimal balance between your cost, your risk, and your business benefit. All right. So this ensures that the enterprise strategies and the IT investments are aligned and that portfolio composition supports both short and long term business goals. Okay. So, what are the different metrics that you can target in this ecosystem? The first one that you can possibly target is the percentage of the IT investments that you can trace to the enterprise strategy, right? Like, say, for an example, you have invested in a cloud migration strategy, or say, for an example, a digital transformation program, um, or IT centralization program. Now, these are the investments that are being done into the IT segment, and how many of those are directly tied to the enterprise strategy from the achievement of the goals of the enterprise in general. Like, say, for an example, increasing the sales outcomes or increasing the manufacturing maturity within an enterprise, etc. Right? Those are the things that you can measure. You can also measure the percentage of IT investments that are based on cost, strategic alignment, and financial measures. Like, say, for an example, the cost and return on investment over the complete economic cycle of that particular investment that was being done, and what is the degree of risk and the type of the benefit for the programs that are enclosed within that particular portfolio, be it an application portfolio or an infrastructure portfolio, right? So, in order to achieve this outcome of this particular in this particular practice, a lot of things that could be done, a lot of activities that could be done. So, first things first, you can create and maintain what you would call as an investment portfolio, right? Investment portfolio. So here you will be developing a comprehensive portfolio of IT enabled programs like digital transformation programs or the services and the assets that form the core of your IT budget. Now, this would basically ensure there is transparency and there is alignment between the IT and business strategic initiatives or priorities. This is something that you must do in order to achieve a maturity level of 2, which kind of will ensure that this particular process will achieve its process through the adaptation or application of basic yet complete set of activities that can be characterized as performed. Okay. At least 2 maturity level is what you can achieve if you implement this particular activity. The other thing that could be possibly done is basically align your IT and business understanding, right? The second activity is align the IT and business understanding. Okay. So here you are actually trying to facilitate collaboration between the IT function and the business function to identify opportunities where IT can actually go out and enable or accelerate your business strategy. Okay. So this will help actually bridge the traditional IT and business communication gap. Okay. So this will help you achieve at least a maturity level of 2. Okay. This is the second activity that you can possibly implement in order to achieve the outcome of this particular practice. The third thing that you can possibly do is identify key investment categories, right? Identify key investment categories. Here you can define the broad categories of your IT investment systems, applications, data, services, infrastructure, and even skills that are required to support the enterprise objectives. Now, this particular step provides a structured view of where your resources are allocated, right? This will allow you to achieve a basic capability level of 2 as well. Okay. So this is one of the activity that you can identify, like what are the key investment categories, whether you want to invest in your systems, whether you want to invest in your application, your data services, your infrastructure modernization, or even in the people skills, right? So all those things can be implemented. And the other activity that could be also implemented is basically around the agreement on the IT goals for an enterprise, right? Here you will ensure or at least strive to ensure both business and IT stakeholders agree on measurable goals that would align your IT's contribution to the enterprise strategy. So this will encourage there is always a synergy between your business and IT, and it basically will try and eliminate misaligned initiatives within the IT that are not directly delivering a value, right? So and then the other activity that you can identify is the optimal investment mix definition, right? Here you would strike a balance among various investment dimensions, like say for an example, short-term investment versus long-term investments, financial investment versus non-financial investments, high-risk investments versus low-risk investments, right? This basically will ensure there is sustainable and diversified value creations on the IT enabled investments, and will help you to achieve a higher level of maturity, basically a maturity level of 3. Okay. So to summarize, the activities that can be implemented is: first, you need to define your investment portfolio. Then have an agreement or alignment between the understanding of business and IT to ensure that both of them are in same pages. Identify key investment categories, like where do you want to invest when in your IT portfolio. Like, say for example, you want to invest in infrastructure, systems, skills, data services, etc., and agree on the goals that the IT system or IT management will have to ensure there is strategic alignment. And and then try out and filter which particular investment categories will need to be prioritized, whether you want to prioritize short term ones, whether you want to prioritize long term ones, high risk one, low risk ones, etc. So the outcome that you will have at the implementation of this particular practice around the establishment of the target investment mix will be a clearly defined investment portfolio strategy that would optimize resource while aligning your IT spending with business value and risk tolerance. Okay. So the other thing that could be also done is around evaluation of value optimization, the second practice, right? Now, this particular practice basically focuses on continuously doing an assessment on whether IT enabled investments and services are delivering the expected value. So it ensures that there is always a strategic alignment, performance, and benefit realization, which are consistently reviewed and optimized. So, what you are trying to do is any investments done in the IT enabled transformation program you're trying to assess and evaluate whether it is delivering the outcome. Okay. So, some of the measures that could be or metrics that could be there in order to confirm whether your evaluation is being done properly. It can be something like documenting the deviation between the target investment mix that you had established in terms of where you want to invest in the IT portfolio, which ones are to be prioritized over the others, versus the actual investment mix that is operating on the ground as of today, right? So this is something that you can measure to see whether you are achieving the outcomes through the evaluation. And the other thing that you can also measure is the percentage of your portfolio of your IT enabled investments with a likelihood of achieving the enterprise objective in general and delivering all the expected value at a reasonable cost. Okay. So there are various activities in this particular practice as well. Like, say for an example, understanding the needs of your stakeholders. This is the first activity that you can do. So understand your needs of the stakeholder. So here you identify what are the expectations of the stakeholder and the organization's dependence on IT for strategic success. So this will ensure your governance decisions within IT are based on the needs of your business and is going to place you in a maturity level of 2 at least, right? The second thing that could be done is about understanding the governance requirements for value delivery, right? So here you can define the governance structures and control mechanisms that are required for cost effective and secure value delivery. For an example, ensuring investment review boards that are defined are effective as well as operating and active as well, right? So this, if you implement, will help you achieve at least a maturity level of 3 within the enterprise, right? And then the next thing that you could possibly do is identifying the value creation opportunities. Identify value creation opportunity, right? So here you can evaluate how emerging technologies or changes in business processes could create new sources of value. So this basically promotes what is called as your innovation driven governance, right? Again, will help you to achieve at least a maturity level of 3. Okay. This is something that could be also done. The other thing that could be done in order to achieve this particular practices outcomes is determine what is the definition of value for an enterprise, right? So here you can clarify and communicate how the organization defines its value, whether that's profitability, whether that's customer experience, whether it is innovation or risk reduction, right? This will ensure there is a shared understanding of value across all the stakeholders. And the other thing that could be possibly done is evaluating enterprise and IT strategy alignment. So here you are actually evaluating whether there is an alignment between your enterprise strategy against your IT strategy. So the key activity that needs to be done here is regularly performing an assessment on how well IT initiative supports your enterprise strategy and whether any adjustments are needed. So this will help you to ensure continued relevance of your IT initiatives and will help you at least maturity level of 4 in a scale of 1 to 5. Okay. So apart from this, what you can also do is you can do an assessment of the roles and responsibilities or the accountability, right? So so evaluate whether the decision making bodies, like say for an example, your steering committees are actually enabling the realization of the value. So which will ensure there is always a governance oversight that remains active and accountable. And this also helps you to achieve at least a capability level of 4. Okay. And then you must also review your investments and financial management alignment. Now, you need to check if the management of your IT enabled investments align with financial management principles such as your return on investment tracking and cost transparency. Now, this actually um, bridges the governance with finance discipline. So here you are reviewing your investment and financial management discipline within the enterprise, right? And also will help you to achieve at least a maturity level of 4 in order to evaluate against that capability maturity model, right? And the last thing that you could possibly also do is you can evaluate your overall portfolio alignment, basically, and how efficiently it is operating. Okay. So you can analyze the complete portfolio to do an assessment of risk return balance, okay, efficiency and business process alignment. Now this will ensure that the organization is investing in the right mix of initiatives and will help you at least achieve an outcome or capability level of 4. Okay. So having an evidence based assessment of whether your IT is delivering the measurable business value and whether adjustments are required to maximize the realization of the benefits is something that this particular practice will be striving to achieve. So to summarize, in order to evaluate, you need to first understand what your stakeholders need. You must understand what is the governance requirements for a value delivery perspective. Like say for an example, gov board, investment boards, etc. You must identify where there are opportunities to create value for your business. Which emerging technologies can help you aid on creating value, and And understand there is a very important thing that the value definition is common across the enterprise, whether it is innovation, customer experience, profitability, risk reduction, etc. And there is always a strategic alignment between IT and business, and understand who has the roles and the accountability around the investment decision making process. And there is always, or there should be always, a financial management discipline. You must review that, and then strive to achieve through your evaluation that IT must be delivering measurable business value, whether through its operations or any adjustments are needed in order to maximize the business realization or benefit realization, right? And the third thing that could possibly be done is your direction of value optimization. Now, um, after you evaluate the investment landscape, right? So, this practice will ensure there is always direction and action. Okay. So, this will set your principles. There will be priorities and decisions that will be driving value realization across the portfolio. Now, this is where leadership defines the criteria for investment decisions and set expectations for performance and innovation. So, what is the criteria for investments? Where you should invest, where you should not invest? What are the different thresholds, and what are the approvals that are to be secured, and all those kind of things are defined under this particular practice. So it can be definitely measured through the percentage of your IT initiatives within the overall portfolio, in which value is managed through the complete life cycle. Like, say, for an example, business cases presented, governance board has reviewed, the outcomes are documented, financial leadership has reviewed and given its approval, and then it gets implemented on the ground, and the outcome is also measured to see whether the benefits are realized. So, the end, all the IT enabled investments must go through the complete cycle, right? This is what needs to be defined. And what is the percentage of your IT initiatives which uses value management principles and practices that you have defined in the previous practice, where you have establish the target investment mix and evaluated your value optimization, right? So, what are the different activities that can be implemented under this particular practice where you direct the value optimization? The first thing that you could possibly do is define and communicate your investment categories that you have defined, and what is the criteria. Okay. So this will establish a consistent criteria for the evaluation and prioritization of investments. Like, say, for an example, risk optimization, resource optimization, digital transformation, um, etc. Right? Strategic alignment, financial return on investment, business process optimization, etc. So this kind of provides a structured approach for the different investment categories that you have defined, and the criteria for the decisions that are to be made within IT related investment, and will be required, at least if you're striving to achieve um, at least an outcome of or the maturity level of 2. Okay. So the other thing that could also be implemented here is defining what you would call as a stage gate definition, and what are the review requirements. Okay. So you must implement checkpoints, like, say, for an example, funding approval or milestone delivery to validate ongoing alignment with the goals of an enterprise. So this will ensure there is always continuous tracking of value. Okay, and will help you achieve at least a capability level of 3. Okay. So the other thing that you could possibly do is your promotion of your innovation. So promotion of your innovation through IT enabled investments. So you must encourage your management to leverage IT to enable new opportunities. Okay. Enable new opportunities, enhance the competitiveness, and improve the efficiency. So always innovate through IT. Okay. Which will make the governance a catalyst for your innovation rather than a constraint. So governance should not be viewed as a constraint, rather, the governance must be viewed as an tool for innovation. Okay. And the other thing that could also be done is reassign accountability wherever required or if applicable. Okay. So you can adjust roles and responsibilities to ensure value delivery remains properly owned and managed. This will maintain an accountability even as portfolios kind of evolve. Okay. Again, will help you to achieve a capability level of 3. Okay. And the other thing that could be also done is realign your portfolios, right? Realign your portfolios wherever required or necessary. So this will help you to rebalance or reallocate resources across investment categories to reflect changing priorities or constraints. So this will keep the portfolio strategically optimized and will help you to achieve at least a capability level of 3. Okay. And wherever required, recommend the improvements from an organizational perspective. Um, this like say for an example, suggesting process related changes or structural changes or operational changes that could increase the value realization from your IT related investments. Like it will help you link governance insights directly towards business transformation and can help to achieve at least a capability level of 3. Okay. And then the other thing that you can do is also like define and communicate your value delivery goals and metrics, right? So you can set clear enterprise level goals and outcome measures that could guide the management and enable the monitoring of the performance. Okay. So this will ensure everyone understand what success would look like and will also help you to achieve a maturity level of 4. Okay. To summarize the activities under this particular practice, you can start with defining and communicating what investment categories are defined, what are the criteria for approval, at what stage points or checkpoints approvals must be requested, what are the review requirements. Ensure that governance is not an hindrance to innovation, rather a catalyst to investment and innovation within the enterprise. Where if required, reassign accountabilities with evolving portfolios, realign portfolios if necessary. If your investment strategies within IT are evolving, wherever necessary, recommend organizational improvements in order to and help aid the digital transformation exercise. And important is define and communicate the goals of value delivery and the metrics that must be having a common understanding across the enterprise, right? So as an outcome, you can have a directed governance framework that promotes accountability, innovation, and continuous optimization of value delivery across IT related investments. Okay. So, the last practice that is within this particular governance objective is around the monitoring of the value optimization. Okay. This focuses on tracking the performance, right? This tracking performance and ensures ongoing benefit realization. Okay. So basically what it does is it ensures that the key metrics, outcomes, and corrective actions are in place to sustain the value delivery over the life cycle of IT enabled investments. Okay. So some of the metrics that you can leverage here is the number of new enterprise opportunities which are realized as a direct result of your IT related developments. Okay. Or you can measure the percentage of strategic enterprise objectives that you have achieved as a result of your strategic and IT initiatives. What is the level of executive management satisfaction with IT's value delivery and cost? What is the level of stakeholder satisfaction with the progress towards identified goals that you can you can also identify them through your service of your stakeholders. Um, you can also measure the level of stakeholder satisfaction with the enterprise's ability to obtain the value from IT enabled investments. What is the number of incidents that happened due to actual or attempted circumvention of established value management principles that the enterprise had established? Or what is the percentage of expected value that has been realized? Now, these are all some of the metrics that you can leverage in order to to confirm whether this particular practice around monitoring of value optimization is actually meeting its outcomes that are projected for it. Okay. So there are various activities that could be implemented in order to achieve the outcome. Like, say, for an example, um, defining performance objectives and metrics. Like, say, let me clean this. Just give me a moment. Yeah, so the first activity that could be done here is defining um, performance objectives and metrics, right? So here you will have to develop a balanced scorecard, okay? A balanced scorecard of metrics which cover both activities as well as the outcomes. Okay. The outcomes can be financial, the outcomes can be non financial as well. Okay. What are the leading indicators? What are the lagging indicators? All those metrics needs to be identified. And this kind of gives you a 360-degree view of the overall performance and the value creation. Okay. This will help you achieve at least a capability level of 4, maturity in a scale of 1 to 5. Okay. The other thing that you can do is also you can collect and report on the performance related data points. Okay. So here you can gather accurate, timely, and complete data points to do an assessment towards progressing towards value realization goals. This will ensure there is transparency and informed decision making. Will help you also to achieve a capability level of 4. Okay. So you can also review progress through performance reports. Like, say, for an example, you can analyze portfolios, you can analyze programs, your IT performance reports to determine if the target and the milestones are being achieved. So this can help you enable proactive intervention before the issues actually escalate, right? So again, it will help you achieve a capability level of 4. Okay. And then you can always initiate corrective action. So whenever there are performance deviations that are identified, you can ensure appropriate management action is taken in a prompt manner. So it will always help you maintain an alignment with the expected outcomes. Okay. So this is like about the review of progress through performance reports, right? Now, this will help you achieve at least the highest level of capability, which is a level 5 in a scale of 1 to 5, right? Wherever possible, initiate corrective actions and sustain this value optimization. Okay. So you need to continuously review and adjust the action to sustain the value creations from IT enabled initiatives so that it ensures long term benefit realization and the health of your IT portfolios. And again will help you to achieve at least a maturity level of 5. So eventually, this particular practice of monitoring the value optimization will have an outcome where you will be able to establish a governance model where performances are measured, issues are corrected, and corrected in a quick manner, and IT continues to deliver sustained value to the business. Okay, so that was all about the objective and the associated practices and activities and some of the metrics to measure the outcomes, right? Now we'll move on to the organizational structure that needs to be in place in order to achieve the outcome of this particular governance objective. Okay, so the first objective that we discussed in the previous slide was establishment of the target investment mix. Basically, we discuss in detail where you go out and define the ideal balance between different types of IT enabled investment like innovation, transformation, operational maintenance, etc. So, board of directors is eventually accountable to do this activity, and underneath board there will be different committees like the executive committees, your chief executive officer, chief financial officer, chief information officer, and chief operating officer, and all the IT governance board and portfolio IT governance board. These are all responsible to deliver the outcome, right? For identifying and proposing investments that could deliver the measurable benefits. The second objective that we discussed was the organization basically need to evaluate whether the investments are aligned to the business goals and whether the expected value is something that can be achieved, right? Now, here again, the board is accountable, and your different committees, the executive leadership, financial leadership, IT, or operating leadership, or the IT governance board or the CIO, they are all having a responsibility, and they play a responsible role in doing an assessment of the return on investments, performance indicators, and expected business outcomes. Okay. So the third objective was around direction of value optimization practices. Now, this was all about providing strategic direction to ensure that the enterprise portfolio is optimized for maximum delivery of value. And again, in this case, your board is accountable, and your executive leadership that comprises of your CEO, CFO, CIO, Chief Operating Officer, and IT governance board, they all contribute towards implementing the directives to balance your costs, risks, and benefits across the IT portfolio. And finally, the last objective that we discussed in the previous slide was around monitoring the value optimization, which involves continuously monitoring whether the realized benefits align with the expectations which were projected in the business case. Here again, the board is accountable, and your executive committees, your executive leadership, financial leadership, operating leadership, information leadership, IT governance board, and even your different portfolio managers like your infrastructure portfolio head or application portfolio head. They all need to play a role for or are responsible for tracking the outcomes, reporting the deviations, and recommending corrective actions where benefits actually fall short. So, when we map these practices to the organization's role, you will see how accountability primarily rests with the board, emphasizing the governance oversight. Okay. So, responsibility is spread across multiple layers of leadership within the enterprise. And this clear distribution ensures that the benefit delivery is not treated as an isolated IT concern but as a shared business responsibility. Okay. So now that we have discussed what are the organizational structures that must be in place, let's shift our focus to the other components within this particular governance objectives. Like say for an example, information flows and items, people, skills and competencies, etc. Now, these components will explain how information moves across governance and management processes and what capabilities are required in the people to make the benefit realization truly effective. Okay. So these are the IDs that you see over here are concerning different governance and management objective IDs as laid out in COBIT. Some of them we have discussed, some of them we will discuss. So don't pay attention to them. Just focus on the inputs that you will need and the outputs that you will generate in order to achieve the outcomes of the practice within this particular governance objective. So the first practice was around the establishment of the target investment mix, where the goal is to define balanced and strategic mix of IT enabled investments that basically align with the business priorities. So here the input will be coming in from several processes. Like say for an example, what is the definition of your strategic initiatives at an enterprise level? Whether you want to prioritize manufacturing optimization, whether you want to prioritize research and innovation, whether you want to optimize your risk, whether you want to reduce the or optimize your resources, whatever it is, this will provide the definition of the strategic initiatives and the overall strategic roadmap at an enterprise level. Okay. You will also need to understand the definition of standard shared services, ensuring that what capabilities exist and can help you to achieve the overall strategies, right? Also, you need to understand what are the service definitions that are available within the enterprise, and what are the investment types that are currently in operation, and what is the criteria. So the outputs from the execution of this particular practice basically helps you curate the feedback on the strategy and goals that can be leveraged by the management while prioritizing their management objectives. And it can also help you provide a list of identified resources and capabilities which are needed to execute the strategy, and eventually an investment mix which is defined, which is shared internally for further evaluation, right? So essentially, this practice will help you to ensure what enterprise's IT investment portfolio is, and whether it is strategically structured and completely well justified. Okay. So the next thing that could be possibly done is around the second practice, which is around the evaluation of value optimization. So at this stage, the organization had identified what is their target investment mix, and now they are going to evaluate the investments, or whether the investments are delivering the intended value outcome that is expected from them, right? So here you will again need the strategic roadmap from an at an enterprise level. Um, from an IT standpoint, um, from the enterprise management or the executive management within the enterprise, you will also need the investment return expectations in terms of if you are investing $1, how much you are targeting a return from it. What are the milestones for return on investments? And the benefit realization reports are also something that you would need. You would also need what you would call as stage gate review results from the projects and programs that are operating within the enterprise as well. Okay. So the outputs or the outcomes of this particular practice would basically uh, it will basically ensure that evaluation of your strategic alignment, right? Ensuring that all programs are still in line with the business goals, and the evaluation of investments and service portfolio reports, right? So, confirming that the expected benefits are being realized. So, these outputs are then fed into the processes that will be used by the management to close the loop on investment oversight and continuous improvement. The third practice that we discussed as well was around directing the value optimization. So this is where your leadership provides direction on how to maximize the value across the portfolio, and your inputs are collected from your investment portfolio performance reports, and basically the defined investment mix that the enterprise is leveraging. After reviewing this, you must curate the outcomes that would clearly define the requirements for the stage gate reviews. Like at what point stage gate reviews must be conducted, what is the criteria for that, which will ensure ongoing governance during the execution. It will also define the investment types and criteria, right? Investment types would involve like whether you want to invest in risk optimization initiatives or resource optimization initiatives or digital transformation initiatives, and what is the criteria and threshold for approval of investment decisions, right? This will ensure that the business realization is not a one time event but an ongoing governance activity which is tied directly to business priorities. Okay. So the other thing that it can also achieve is around monitoring of value optimization. So this practice is all about tracking and improving value delivery over time. So inputs again come with the investment portfolio performance reports that you must collect. Okay, as an outcome, you can define on the action as a board that can be leveraged to improve the value delivery, and you can also provide feedback after you implement this practice on the portfolio and program performance. Okay, for refinement and course correction. Okay. So this continuous monitoring ensures that there is always transparency, there is accountability and learning, which can help the organization refine its investment strategy over a period of time. Okay. So basically, the focus here is more on internal governance linkages and process integration across the different COBIT domains. Okay, be it management domain or the governance domain. Okay. So, in order to achieve the outcomes of this particular governance objective, what are the skills and competencies that your resources must have, right? So, this is the people aspect, right? Um, so, um, so, basically, for benefits management, you can refer to the skills that are identified in the skills framework for information age, currently in version 9, under the code of benefits management. Okay, so this competency involves identifying and quantifying expected business benefits, planning how those benefits will be realized, tracking and reporting on them throughout the life cycle of the investments on the IT segment, and ensuring accountability for the benefit realization at both business as well as in the out at the IT level as well. Okay. So people who has these skills should be hired for the roles who are expected to discharge the practices within this particular governance objective. So in summary, this component emphasizes that the governance benefit delivery is a shared responsibility which requires the people that are involved to have strong governance structure and skilled professionals who understand how to plan, measure, and communicate business value in an effective manner. Okay. So the final few components that must be listed out here is that you should have a budgeting and delivery execution policy, which plays a very important role because it would set the guidelines for identifying your investment mix or investment needs and requirements so that the resources are allocated strategically and not reactively. It will ensure that there is always an ongoing monitoring process defined for fulfillment and benefit realization, verifying that the projects and programs are delivering the intended outcomes. It provides direction on the formulation of budget, the formulation of the budget requests, ensuring that these are justified with clear benefit expectations and business value. It also provides the guidelines for the monitoring of your budget performance and technical execution against plan, which is key to maintain accountability. That policy must also recommend reallocation or reprogramming wherever necessary, which means that if one initiative is not delivering as per expectation or under delivering, resources can always be redirected to higher value opportunities. And finally, this policy must also have curated service level agreements with and the performance must be tracked against service level agreements and other performance based metrics, which could close the loop between financial planning, delivery, and the outcome of the measurement. So, while there is this particular policy will help you to typically establish the objectives and ensure strategic alignment between IT spending and business strategy. Okay, and eventually realization of the benefits. Okay, so essentially, this policy, if you write and publish, will ensure that the investment governance and benefits tracking are institutionalized and rather than being managed on an ad hoc basis, right? Beyond that, you must also focus on certain people and organizational mindset, which is needed to support the outcome based thought process. So the key cultural element that the value IT adds to the business will depend on how well it is aligned with the goals of the businesses and expectations. So in order to optimize the IT value, organizations must foster a culture where IT and businesses work hand in hand, ensuring that your services are delivered within budget, on time, within budget, and with appropriate quality. So, this particular culture emphasizes accountability, collaboration, and value driven decision making. So, when teams actually share a mindset that IT is a strategic enabler, not just a cost center, it drives a more disciplined governance, faster course corrections, and even a higher level of satisfaction across the stakeholders within the business. Okay, so this particular cultural reinforcement can help enterprises ensure that business realization becomes part of the organization's DNA and not just a compliance checkbox. Okay. The final component is around the applications that you must invest in order to achieve the outcome of this particular governance objective around ensured benefits delivery. The first thing that you can invest in is a cost accounting system, which can help you track and allocate resources or costs accurately to the project, programs or the services, which can allow the board and the executive management to do an assessment on whether benefits are being achieved relative to the investments that are being made. And you can also invest in a program management tool which can provide visibility into the project performance, timelines, budgets, and milestones, enabling continuous tracking of benefits delivery and alignment with the strategic objectives. Now, together, these tools will provide the data foundation that is needed to measure and optimize the delivery across the portfolio. So, they help link financial performance with the operational results, reinforcing transparency, supporting evidence based governance decisions that are key outcomes of the particular governance objective, which concerns around ensured business delivery. So, to summarize what we just covered extensively under this particular governance objective, is that the whole outcome relative to this particular governance objective is to ensure that any investments that are done in IT is aligned with with the business expectations or business requirements, and it must deliver the value or the benefit which was envisaged in the business case that was proposed. And in order to do that, you must first identify your target investment matrix. Where do you want to focus? Whether you want to focus on risk optimization, innovation, customer satisfaction, etc. Right? First, you identify your target investment metrics, your evaluate your value delivery use cases, direct value delivery use cases, and then monitor value delivery use cases, right? And curate an organizational structure, hire the right people, develop something like a budget and delivery execution policy, and ensure that a culture is developed within the enterprise where IT is not visualized as a cost center but as a strategic enabler, and implement tools and components like your cost accounting systems and program management tool to ensure that reports can be generated automatically that would demonstrate whether the IT investments or IT enabled investments are delivering the expected value that is expected from them. So this was all about the governance objective EDM02, which concerns around ensured benefits delivery. And I hope you got to learn a little bit about this particular governance objective and how to execute this particular governance objective as per the expectations of COBIT, right? Again, thanks for listening, and we'll come back with another session where we will discuss about another governance objective or a management objective in our next sessions, right? Again, thanks for listening, and keep listening and will and stick to us. Thank you very much.